Hello. Welcome to AD60M Hamden Thoughts. This is episode 5, recorded on August 16th, 2020. Today I talk with Don Gibbs, KK4QAM. He's a ham that I've known probably around 2 years now. He's an original member of the JerryNet, and we actually started following each other on Twitter several months before that. We got to know each other there. But I'm happy to talk with Don this morning on this, the 5th episode. I'm sorry, no, it's the 4th episode, getting ahead of myself, of Hamden Thoughts. Stay tuned. Welcome to the episode, and hello, Don. I got Don here on a Zoom call. How's it going?
Oh, going pretty good. Glad to be here. Glad to finally put a face with the voice that I've always talked to.
Yeah, it's good to see you live on video. And it's kind of funny because I'm just sitting here on my Sunday morning looking at social media, watching some YouTube videos, and Don pops up on the JerryNet Slack. Says, hey, are we going to talk? Because I had asked him if I could have an interview with him and just, talk about ham radio with him. So I was like, let's do it. Let's test out Zoom. Let's give it a try. And here he is now, and we're going forward with it. So apologize, Don. I didn't really have much time to prepare or, let you know about the topics or anything like that. But I did want to talk with you. I have a lot of, good memories and experiences with you online. And just for the audience, I wanted to say that Don's just one of those hams that I feel like I could go to anytime. I've never met him in person. I'm out in California. He's out in Sweetwater, Alabama, is it?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, he's just one of those good friends online. He's super supportive. He's very interactive on Twitter and on the live streams. I'm not on Facebook, but I assume also there.
Yes.
Yeah, I chat with him often. He greets us every morning on the JerryNet Slack chat, posts funny memes for us. But welcome, Don, and thank you for pinging me. I didn't think that we were going to do this right away, but thank you. And so I'll just hand it over to you. Tell me a little bit about yourself, what you like about the hobby, ham radio, and any other cool stuff.
All right. Thanks, Dennis. As far as the aspect of the hobby, I mean, that's just it. It's a hobby. You make contact with people that you'll most likely never see. You could get QSL cards. You can do it electronically or through the old-fashioned snail mail, as they call it nowadays. Various aspects of it. There's too numerous of different venues to go down in the hobby. So you got digital modes, CW, sidebands, fully computerized interfaces. It's just too many to even name, or even for one person to even try during the course of their life in the hobby.
Yeah, I introduced you as one of the initial JerryNet members, and I know I've been guilty of this. I've thrown that phrase around without really explaining it, but I do remember how it kind of came together. Of course, it was centered around us talking with Jerry Hildeman, the soda celebrity, I guess is what we would call him. Yeah, he would always do soda videos, and so we commonly followed him, and then he would say that he's on a certain reflector. I think it was 12 alpha back then.
Yes.
But then from there I started a Slack account and then just invited people so that we could chat. So tell me about JerryNet and what it is to you, and some of the folks there.
Well, as far as the JerryNet in particular, it all started with me following Jerry on Twitter. And I don't know if it come across my feed as a recommended follow, or if he followed somebody that I followed and then it come across. But anyway, I followed him, and then I found his YouTube channel. People ought to go check it out. It's a very good channel. He
Yep.
puts a lot into it.
Yep.
And then it turns out I seen him one day post. He had D-Star capability. He was going to install it in his truck. He planned on using the 12 Alpha on the Papa system on his way home from work, and said, I leave at, I think it was 1500 or 1530 your time, which would have been about 5 p.m. my time. I said, well, I'll got my hotspot, my ID 51A. I'll just go over there and, talk with him and help him go on his commute home. And it just started from there. I think you joined us several times on his commute, and probably your commute.
Yeah, whenever I could. I was normally in a meeting when he was having those talks.
Yeah, and we just kind of kept retweeting it, and it kind of grew, and several others joined in. I know Mike KK4QAM, he wanted to join in, but
Yep.
he was we'll say mono band. He was DMR and we were D-Star. So at that time there was no way for him to join us. Several locals there in California would join us, and it just helped him pass the time of day on his commute home. So I guess that is the official start of the JerryNet, and that was on Twitter and on Reflector 12 Alpha.
Yeah.
More and more people got to joining in.
Yeah. I thought, I forget who coined the phrase. I think it may have been you. It was just like the commute home, get on RF thing. And then at a certain point, someone said, I'm going to try to make the JerryNet. Yeah, and it was just like an informal. It wasn't a net. It's like no one checked in or anything like that. But it was more of just talking on D-Star, and eventually we found a cross mode. I think it was XRF 757, the quad net.
Yeah,
and then we started inviting more people with other types of radios.
Yeah, that was. I don't know how many months into it was, probably about 6. But like I said, Mike was mono-banded with DMR, and he wouldn't buy a D-Star radio. So we said we would try the quad net, which is closer to me than you guys, but nonetheless, and it worked all right for a while, and we would get all different people from everywhere that was connected to it.
Yep.
Some using their phones with apps, some coming through on Echo Link, some coming through on what was it, All Star. It was a very conglomerated mix of audio signals coming through. It just didn't seem like it had the crispness and the sound of a digital mode. So I believe you were on vacation, and somebody said, "Hey, Dennis, what if?" And there went the fingers on the keyboard, and the JerryNet reflector was born.
Yes, that was a period of about 2 weeks of intense. Just how did they do that? Because the examples existed out there, and for those wondering, it's called XLX 367 Alpha. It's a multi-mode reflector on the internet that if you connect your D-Star radio to XRF 367 Alpha, you'll be on there. And there's a Yaesu module for system fusion. Let me see, I can't remember off the top of my head because I don't have Yaesu, but I think it's 387 98. So that's YSF room 38798. Hold on, I'm going to go to my site real quick just so I could remember.
Well, I was going to say all the numbers are on your website. So
Oh, I'm sorry. YSF 68798 on Fusion. And then, of course, DMR, it's on talk group 312-8459. 312-8459. So those are the three modes. That was a great learning experience, but it kind of tied everything together. And then Jerry kind of parked himself there and started doing his commutes home on that multi-mode repeater or reflector. And he was going in through RF sometimes, I think. He was using a repeater to link to that reflector. But for the most part, he was using his hotspot and cellular.
yes, I believe that during one part of his commute, he was using a local repeater and linking in through that. And then when he would move out of the coverage of that repeater, he would switch over to his hotspot and have it tethered to his cell phone.
Yep. That was a cool experience. And I compiled everything into a single document, which lives on the internet now. I'll add the link here in the show notes, but it's helped several others get their own club reflectors on multi-mode. And I'm just glad that, for me, it was really just scouring forums and going everywhere and being able to kind of put that all in one place as a end-to-end how-to was very satisfying for me. I felt like I finally understood the problem, and it helps anyone with any digital radio to chat with others. So I hope that it actually helps.
Yeah, I think it was a big hit. I know we're not as probably active on it now as we should be, but it's there for basically anybody to use. And I occasionally check the reflector dashboard, and it's you can see some regulars keying in. Somebody has a QSO, and then they move on. So
Yeah, yeah.
but
All right, switching gears here. I wanted to talk a little bit more about you, some of the stuff that you're working on. One of the reasons I like talking with you is you always got something brewing, something cool going on. And so tell me about some interesting things that you're working on in ham radio.
well, I don't know. That's a big list. And it continues to grow. Currently, just this morning, I was trying to finalize all the wiring in the control box that of my autonomous satellite tracker that I'm building. I don't remember the man's call sign, but if you go to Clear Sky Institute /AST, I believe that's the link to the web page. It's Arduino based with 2 servo controllers. The Arduino that's in it is a ESP8266. It does create a Wi-Fi web page that you can in the Arduino logic. You can put your SSID of your Wi-Fi at home or a hotspot if you have it, as well as your password, and download it, and it creates a web page that you go to you can select your satellite and tell it, I want you to get the Kelperian data from AMSAT or Celestract, whichever one is the satellite is on. It'll go out through on the internet, pull that data in, and you can hit track, and it's a automatic track system to tie in with your radios.
So you're putting together the whole entire system here, where it will be attached to some servo actuated rotors and a pair of antennas that are going to be tuned for the various frequencies, the uplink and downlink frequencies. So this is going to be like a full computer automated satellite tracking system from your home QTH, right?
Yes, but I have it. I'm planning on having it all mounted in such a way that it's portable. I can use it here at home, or if I wanted to take it to field day or some type of a demo or exhibition, I can have a Raspberry Pi set up with
nice.
the SDR receive,
Yeah.
like GQRX. and then you use G-Predict as your rig control for your transmit side. You have everything connected over a Wi-Fi hotspot, and open that web page, go get SO50, and when it gets the Kelperian data, you just hit track, minimize the web page, and you have your radio control as well as SDR receive.
Nice. So what kind of rigs are you going to be attaching to the system? You're going to be doing linear in addition to the FM sats, right?
Yes, that is correct. Currently set up on the bench here, I have a Yaesu FT857, but I have plans to put that back in my work car. So somebody that follows me on Twitter may have seen me put up a picture the other day that Gigaparts came through. You know, what's in the box. It's a brand new FT818ND. So that's what I'm planning on putting in the satellite kit.
Nice. New
With
818.
Yeah, with the SDR receive on it. So it'll be only the transmit side. The SDR will be doing the receiving.
Seems like a really popular rig for linear because it can do sideband and all that. And in addition to FM, and it does all the frequencies up to 70 centimeters.
Yes, and it also has a tone capability in it for like SO50, which you actually need a tone to transmit through.
Yep. So for those who are new to ham radio, and especially to satellite ham radio, the thing with satellites is, one, you need to know when they're in the sky, and so that's where Don's whole computer aspect to it is it's going off the internet and looking up schedules for when passes are for particular coordinates on the Earth. And in addition to that, you have to be able to listen on two different frequencies. So typically, you'll listen to a downlink frequency, and you will have to transmit on a separate band so not to interfere with that downlink. And a lot of the time you need to figure out, okay, what mode should I be in? Should I be in single sideband? Should I be in FM? Or I don't know if there are others. Some of these actually take CW as well. And so it's all very fast paced. It's all very difficult to capture right if you're doing it all manually. So there's a lot of supporting technology around it. And what Don's doing here is kind of automating just even tracking it in the sky, which I think is really, really cool. And I've seen some extensive rotor-based systems that go up, that point up in the sky and just kind of move slowly as the satellite transits across the sky. And hopefully we get to hear that from Don sometime soon.
Well, I hope so. It's only been a year and a half in the making, so I first became aware of this autonomous satellite tracker by a video from Ham Radio Concepts, and I'm like, that's kind of what I want to do. I want to be able to sit in my shack and work satellites, because if anybody's been in the heat and humidity in South Alabama in the summertime, it's horrible. So I'm just a old fat ball man, and I want to sit back. I want to sit back here with my feet propped up and work sats.
Yeah, exactly. I've run out into my backyard with my Arrow antenna and tried to manually just track some of the FM sats with my handheld, and it's tiring. I know people who do it every single day, and I think that's amazing, because I just keeping track of the times and being able to get out there, get the proper, figure out where's north. I always have to reorient myself. It's a lot of work for a couple minutes. And I would love to be able to just look on my computer and say, okay, point in that direction. Let me try to hit this satellite.
Oh yeah, you've been out there in outside with holding the Arrow antenna, which is, I guess, probably one of the more popular ones. I know Elk makes a log periodic, but you get out there and trying to adjust for Doppler shift, as well as point the antenna and maybe rotate it to dialed in the signal, so to speak. You concentrate on one part and you forget to do something on the other, and it's like, well, where did it go?
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of practice to do that. And
Yeah. I really admire satellite chasers. It's very fast paced and difficult to me at least, and I just am amazed at how many grids they can get and how much they're active on that form of ham radio.
oh yeah, and the distance that you can cover with a 2 meter or 70 centimeter signal at 5 watts or less, based on the footprint of the satellite. I mean, it's amazing. You catch one coming across the eastern seaboard, and somebody in the over in Europe or somewhere, they can have their antennas pointed at it, and you have yours pointed at it, and hey, that's DX on 2 meters or 70 centimeters.
Amazing. Let me ask you about another one of your projects, because this is one that I want to copy as well, and it is your explorations into setting up packet BBS stations. Can you tell me more about how you did that and how alive and well BBSs are even now?
Well, as far it's really very simple to do once you kind of understand how the configuration file works. Installing the software, it's no more different than, say, installing FLDigi. You Raspberry Pi, Linux, Windows, it's you have the same sequence of things you have to go through to install the software. But the trick on it is getting the configuration file correct. I did have at one time, it's not active right now, a VHF 2 meter bulletin board system tied in with an HF bulletin board system that run WinMore, as well as the WinLink gateways for both of them. And here in our area, it was a group of people that I linked in with through Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, out into Missouri, that was very active in the packet. And
Wow. So
it
that's
became,
pretty far-reaching network you got going
yeah, I
there.
mean, it's if I get a message on my bulletin board for one of the guys in uh, Oklahoma, say, it'll have mine, and then it knows that it has to connect with the next station in Mississippi, so it automatically forwards that message through. His station connects to the next station, say Arkansas, and then that station connects to the main bulletin board that the message for the person that was intended to in Oklahoma, and it sits there and waits until he connects and retrieves his message.
Wow, that's really cool. I mean, it's just this kind of mesh of different BBS stations keeping the messaging network alive.
Yeah, I kind of look at it as like an RF mesh network.
Yeah.
It,
Speaking of
it's
which, you should probably, I don't know if you got my last WinLink email, but it took me like 30 minutes to send it.
oh,
Just
okay.
trying to find an HF station that would reply to me and to keep the link going. There were several times that I tried and it would get like 3/4 of the way and then just give up because there was too much QSB. The replies were fading away, and finally get the message out. And it was a very short one, but
Oh yeah,
you're one of
yeah,
the few people I actually send WinLink emails to, because I know that you check it every once in a while.
yeah, and it's a great thing to have. And it's if you look at a packet bulletin board system, it's in my way of thinking, it's very similar to the WinLink system. The WinLink system relies on internet connections, but if that internet connection goes down, you have major players out there that can communicate with each other and transfer messages across. And it say you have one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast. the East Coast and West Coast, they can talk via RF by bouncing through other stations. And it's the same principle. It's just no internet involved. Now with packet bulletin board systems, you can have internet links in them. You have to open the ports to your router and make it. I'm not exactly sure. I never got into that aspect of it. If you started one and I had mine back up running, we could actually link over the internet and send messages that way.
One of the things that comes to mind is Network 105.
Yes.
That's one of the ways of even chatting over HF, kind of like chatting over the internet. I think you and I called it the Slack of ham radio.
Yeah. That was when I was first getting into it. I'm trying to UZ7HO on his website. He has a particular section devoted to packet. One software is sound modem, and then the other one, what's the name of that software for the? I can't remember.
Is it Easy Term?
Yeah, Easy Term.
Yeah, that's what
it creates. You execute those files. It creates a bulletin board system, message, mailbox. You have keyboard to keyboard chat over RF. The only thing that it did not have that I was particularly interested in was a WinLink gateway to it. I'm not sure if there's been any advancements with that or not. But the one that I ran was BPQ32, Bravo Papa Quebec 32. That is the Windows-based software for the bulletin board system. They have one set up that you can run on a Raspberry Pi, and I tested it for a while, and it works very reliable, which is called Lin BPQ32. So, you have options. If you don't want to tie up a laptop or a dedicated Windows machine, buy your $35 Raspberry Pi, some type of a USB sound card interface, radio antenna, and you're set, ready to go.
Yeah, you just reminded me too. That's speaking of Raspberry Pi, is KM4ACK a local to you, or is that someone else I'm thinking of?
No, he is in Tennessee. So
okay. Who am I thinking? Maybe Woody?
I think, yeah, that's Woody.
Okay.
K4WDY. I believe they may even be in the same club. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I associated him with you. I don't know why. Maybe because you're just so active on the Raspberry Pi development and getting that going. And he created Build a Pi, which is a great script to get your Raspberry
really
Pi
like
all
that.
set up for ham radio tools. It installs everything that you could think of for ham radio. But
I think he has done more in the aspect of having basically one line executable script for ham radio on Raspberry Pis than anybody I've seen. So
a lot of great iterations on that. He's gone through various versions, and he's now on like 3.03 or later, and that's what I got going right now on my. All it basically runs is ham clock, but it also runs the embed software for ham radio crash course D-Star translation. So very good help. I would. It's so much easier than just manually downloading each of those packages and installing them yourself.
Yes, it is. I mean, it's just one line script, type it in a command line, answer yes or no, fill in your call sign occasionally, and it does everything else.
Yeah, really cool. I wanted to ask you also about 3D printing. I know that you got a 3D printer recently, and that's probably contributing to your set tracker stuff, cases, and various gears and parts, I imagine.
Yes, it is. I did, based on the write-up on the original autonomous satellite tracker, they were ordering all of their parts from, I believe it's Servo City. And I got to thinking, I've got this new handy dandy device here that I can use. So, I just basically got the two servos with the kit that come with. One of them was on the azimuth side, and then the pan and tilt kit that come separate. And I said, well, I can sit down in some of this CAD software that I've been practicing with and lay out and design and make a all in one box basically. And so I did. I was still learning Fusion 360 at the time, and I felt more confident with the online. What is it? It's not Tinkercad. It's another one.
But yeah, Fusion 360 is really powerful. That is
Yes,
one heck of a piece of software.
but yeah, it is. I'll think of the name of the website here in a minute. But so I went online and I designed the parts that I have so far, which is the control box with all my electronics boards in it. I'll have the ESP8266, the servo driver board, the GPS unit. I'll have two buck converters in there, one for 6 volts and one for 3.3 volts. It has Mike's going to love this. I have a power pole
Nice.
mounted in it with a on-off switch. The azimuth servo is actually integrated into the top of the box. So when I screw the top of the box on, the azimuth servo is there and connected and ready to go. The azimuth came with a 60 tooth gear, I think it was. And so I said, well, let's just use that as a base for the elevation, because the elevation has got to turn as well as tilt. So I got into software and I took all my measurements with the calipers and whatnot, and I have it made to where the round gear is the base to the elevation servo. It bolts into that, the base bolts to the gear, and then you have your tilt function coming off of that particular servo.
That's pretty amazing. So you printed a gear for elevation from your own design?
Well, I practiced on it, and the teeth match up, but
That's
gear
some
that I'm
work.
referring to is one that came with
Oh, okay.
the azimuth servo.
Okay.
And I just created a round disc basically as a base that I bolted to that gear,
I see.
and I built the mount for the elevation servo off of that.
Nice. Wow, that's some pretty meticulous design work having to go into it.
Yeah, my head kind of hurt after I got through with it, but it almost made me want to have an adult beverage.
I found that helps with a lot of projects, yes.
Well, yeah. So, but now the inside of the control box is not as nice and neat and tidy as I hoped for, but I haven't powered it on to see if the smoke stays in or not, but hopefully it will.
Yeah. I'm eagerly awaiting your first sat contact with that system that you're building there.
Yeah, I'm wanting to. I've been taking documentation pictures all along, so I'll probably try to put them together in some type of a short video with maybe a screenshot of the web page that the Arduino creates so people can see it. And then my next big part of the project will be actually building the cross boom and antenna booms with the antenna elements on them and having them phased correctly.
Okay. What kind of antennas will you be attaching to these?
I'm wanting to make a 3-element cross boom 2-meter Yagi, as well as I haven't made my mind up if I want 5 or 7 elements on a cross boom for 70 centimeters.
So you're going to design these yourself? It's not going to be a commercial
No,
antenna?
I'll be building them myself. I have some fiberglass tubing from DX Engineering that I had intentions of making a rotatable 20-meter delta loop out of, and I never did make it. So I was sitting here one day contemplating, what am I going to use for a boom that is lightweight? It won't flex in the heat, such as like a piece of PVC pipe would. And I was rummaging around in one of my outbuildings, and I say, look at there. So each one of them, I think I've got two pieces of 1 inch, two pieces of 3/4, and two pieces of a 1/2 inch, and they're all 8 foot long. So I have way more than enough to make this boom set out of. It'll be a separated Yagis on a cross boom that bounce to the elevation plate, and then those will. I'm gonna try to find as close to a center point on the Yagi booms as I can for balance, where it'd be less work on the servo to make them go up and down.
Yeah.
And I will
Amazing.
be 3D printing the mounting hardware and connections and so forth.
I'm just amazed at all of the design that's going into this. You really are a geek, Don.
Hey, yeah, I know what you mean.
You're really
But
into this. This is so much. It's just it seems like everything is being designed from square one with this build.
oh well, basically yes. I mean, I bought all the individual parts, and I had to figure out a way to put them all together.
Yeah.
Um, and like I said, I've got this nice 3D printer that why not use it? So
All right. Well, I think that's kind of the time we have. We've gone a bit over time here, but like usual, getting lost in the very interesting topics. Is there anything else you want to say before we close out here?
oh well, I'm gonna revert back to the original days of JerryNet on Twitter. Whenever Jerry and myself and whoever joined in, we'd have a round table on his commute home. So, and afterwards, when he got home, I would throw a tweet out that says, had a good JerryNet today. We talked about XYZ subject, and said we'll talk about anything, even if we don't know anything about it. So
Yep.
that's kind of where it all started, and basically we've made a whole podcast to doing that.
Yeah. Well, Don, thank you very much for your time. Thanks again for reaching out. And yeah, I'm really glad to have talked to you about all this, because I was afraid I was going too much in the soda direction, since Summits on the Air seems to be a common thread with so many members of JerryNet. And
Well, in your area, I could understand why,
yeah,
and I think there's more members of JerryNet in your area than there is on my side of the states. But it's like I said earlier, there's just so many different avenues you can go down in the hobby that it's hard for one person to even try them all. You just have to pick an interest and go with it.
yeah. And you're definitely a great example of someone who's really deep diving into a lot of those areas, because I remember I would post various questions. How would I get a BBS going? Or, satellite questions. And you would chime in, having gone through a lot of the pain already. You'd even share some configuration files with me, or links to various modules to get things started. And I appreciate that. I'm glad that you've been out there. You've kind of been an Elmer in a lot of areas for me in the computing space of ham radio.
Well, I don't have any kind of formal education in anything basically, but if you screw it up and have to fix it, you learn a lot.
Trial and error. Learn from the mistakes of others. I don't know. It does come across very polished though, and I appreciate all the directions you've pointed me in, because they have indeed opened up avenues in ham radio that I hadn't even considered. But keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm glad that you're out there puzzling through these things.
Well, I try, and what little I know, I try to pay it forward anyway.
Yeah. All right. I think that'll be it. I think I'll call it right there.
Okay.
Thanks again, Don. Again, this is Don Gibbs, KK4QAM, out in Sweetwater, Alabama. And hopefully sometime soon you get to hear him on the satellites, or even send a WinLink message to him or a BBS message to him. Thanks a lot, Don.
All right, no problem. Glad to do it.
Again, you've been listening to Hamden Thoughts by 86DM. Thanks a lot. Catch you next time.